how do you keep up to date with all the latest trends in sales? There's a different sales book coming out every week. Like, how do you keep on track and what works, what doesn't work, and all of this?
Oh, Daniel, that's a full-time job in and of itself, right? But I'm gonna be a little simplistic here in what I'm about to say. Yeah, the companies simplistically, right, do two things. They make stuff and they sell stuff. Being very simple, right? Yep. You may not make it, someone else might make it for you, but I think you get the point, right? You have something and then you're trying to sell whatever that 100%. Something is.
100%.
And if you look back in sort of the sales strategies over time, if I were to ask the question, when were demos first kind of, I'm going to use the word invented, but in the classic kind of business sense. I don't mean demoing, your hammer back in the Stone Ages, right? I mean in the business sense, right? Demonstrations, or I want to sell an outcome. I want to show you how this will improve your business. So really that kind of outcome-based or solution selling. We're gonna play a little game here, Daniel. So you're gonna have to play along with me. So what year do you think was the first time that kind of approach was formalized? At least that we know of. When was it formalized? Pick a year. We're in 2023, so pick a year.
2005.
Okay. No, go back. Keep going.
1985.
Keep going.
Oh, wow. 1972.
Keep going. So the point is, it was in the late 1800s, literally.
What?
It was the head of sales for a company called NCR, National Cash Register. I wanted to get people out of their small businesses and take them to see the power of what a cash register could do for them to track their sales, to track their money, and to understand what was happening in their business. That head of sales had a last name of Watson. And if you know anything about technology
IBM,
history, he was one of the founders of IBM. And so you could say in the 1900s, right, all the way from the early 1900s until like pretty much the late 70s, early 80s, people would often say you won't get fired for buying IBM. And their sales teams were held up as the best sellers in the business.
That's correct.
And so going back to
songs and how they have to dress, and it was crazy.
Right. And back then it was mostly men. So we'll give them a pass on that. We'll give them a pass on that. But I will say that, so going back to your question, how do I stay on top of it? Because in reality, what's new is old, right? It's old is new, right? And so a lot of the jobs to be done in selling has always remained constant, right? I find a customer, that's constant. I try to sell you, that's constant. I try to add value, that's constant. I have to compete against what someone else has that's similar to mine. All of those things are constant. What changes and what has changed is the solution by which we sell. Meaning, we used to sell face-to-face. I used to knock on your door at home and sell a vacuum cleaner. I used to knock on your door at home and sell books, which that used to be almost all women back in the early 19-teens, 1920s. And so what has changed now is I don't knock on your door. I send you an email. I send you a text, right? I might chat with you on a social platform. So the solution of me, quote unquote, knocking on the door has changed, but the act of knocking on the door, if you take it literally, right, has remained constant. So the one thing about sales and trying to keep up, and really anything from an innovation standpoint, is always anchor on that job to be done. It's very hard for you to find a job to be done that wasn't around 100 years ago. What has changed is that solution by which that job is delivered. Take Blockbuster. In the US, we used to have to drive to get a video, right? So the job to be done was to entertain my family on a Friday night. We want to watch a movie. That's the job. I'm either going to watch TV or I'm going to drive to a Blockbuster and get it. What do we do now? We can stream it. So the job to be done was, I want to entertain my family on a Friday night, has not changed. How I do it, I'm streaming it from my phone and casting it to the TV. That solution has changed, but the job of entertaining my family on a Friday has remained constant. So if you can land on the job to be done, you will start to see that what you have to keep on top of is how the solutions are changing, not the jobs.
Interesting. Okay, and they evolve using new technologies or new mediums or whatever, but it's exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, right.
Yeah.
You may come to me and go, oh, this one thing, because something was invented, right, that changes and creates a new job. I get it. But if you're talking about business, making something used to be manual and now it's automated. The job was still making something, how you do it, right? How you get something from point A to point B, carrier pigeon, horse and buggy and carriage, right? To a train, to a car, to an autonomous car, to a drone. I'm still getting something from A to B. What changed is the solution. Yeah.